Good morning. Good morning. Happy Sunday, everybody. Welcome back to the Sorry It's True podcast. It's your boy ARP. We here. Got some news mounted up for y'all this morning. Couple items that we're gonna go over. I'm gonna give y'all a heads up right now. This has to be a shorter stream, man. Yesterday when we rocked out for 3 hours plus, it messed my day up. I ain't even gonna try to hold y'all or bullshit y'all. It kind of fucked my day up. And now I got a lot of makeup to do. So this is gonna be a shorter stream, man. If we can get up out of here in about an hour, I just need to today, man. I really gotta make up some time. I really do. But I appreciate everybody that's starting to come into the building. I changed the format of the title a little bit. Instead of saying, Aye Verb Day, whatever, this says more of a title. I do have a story to get into for y'all for that one. A little bit of clarification. Aye Verb deletes one of his biggest sponsors. Day 11 is the title. Also in the thumbnail, you see Nas. Power move that man just made. Super duper power move. We're going to get into that. I'm going to chop that fable a little bit. You see John in the thumbnail. I'm going to explain a little bit more about even the nature of my content when I get to John, because I see that that's a big battle rap topic going on right now. So we'll get to that piece. And after Aye Verb, I got a couple little small pieces, like I said, and then we're going to jump. Okay. So shout out to the whole chat that's coming in. Shout out to the members. Shout out to all the mods in the building. I appreciate y'all once again. Happy Sunday. Is there any other little small updates that I need to mention before we get working? I had a video that I want to go over with y'all today. It was something like the deepest, darkest secrets of like Daphne Joy, 50 Cent's baby mother, right? And it broke down all her history of all the industry guys she was dating, how she's been maneuvering and shit. We had a couple streams. I was just like, come on, we got to stop it, people. She's a hoe, right? This video right here, I was watching. I was just like, damn, she got a lot of history. 50, she got you, man. She got you. She got you. And she got shit. She got Diddy worse than she got 50. If this man gets convicted, like a lot of people think he might get convicted, you are top 3 testimonies, right? As far as what the prosecution is using to drive home why they think you belong behind bars. Daphne Joy, allegedly, a.k.a. Jane, a.k.a. 50 Cent's baby mother. Maybe we'll do that one tomorrow. We'll see. Drop a comment if y'all want to go over that, dig into the weeds of that woman, man, pre-Diddy trial verdict. That's another thing as well. I know checks and balances. We are very, very heavy on the news that we're going to bring to the podcast. But as far as the general chat, especially if it's battle rap, okay? I try to jump in and out of the comments here and there. So if there happens to be things that you say, ARP, you missed this, or, the chat really, really wants y'all to cover this, what's your perspective on this? I know y'all do that to me a lot on Twitter. But yeah, drop it here in the comments. Please don't DM it to me on IG, all right? My IG is too flooded to the point where I'm missing things in my DM. So I'd rather you tweet it to me. ARP, check this out. What's your thoughts? Bring this to the podcast, or put it in the comments here, and 9 times out of 10, I ain't gonna lie. We are already on top of everything, but I know there's things more personalized to y'all that y'all feel like, but what about this, right? Okay. Let's start off with Nas. Now, when we talk about a power move, it's funny because we heard about Jay-Z potentially launching a casino in New York, or was it Manhattan, around the time of his lawsuit. And even that was possibly put on hold during his allegations, right? We heard about all of that. And who turns around talking about a New York-centered casino? All right, let's check this out.
You go on to take credit for going viral. It's genius marketing. But unfortunately for Jim Jones, Nas just dropped the ether again. This is how you quiet down all the noise. This is how you show there's levels to this. And this is how you quiet down somebody like Jim Jones. Nas went on his Instagram to post a commercial for a casino. Now, this is not just any regular casino. This is a $5 billion casino in Queens that he's partnered with and also invested with, which pretty much is going to guarantee him generational wealth. And that's not including all his other investments.
The future is not something you wait for. It's something you build. It lives in the hands of the doers, the dreamers, the people who refuse to stand still. Resorts World is more than a casino. It's energy. It's opportunity. It's hope for the borough. A second chance for some, a first step for many. It's where community gathers. Not just to win, but to build a future once imagined. This isn't just business. This is legacy. And now it's time. Time to invest in us. Because the future doesn't ask for permission. It moves with purpose. From our chairman to our newest employee, we're committed to Queens. And in Queens, the future is now.
Now, this casino is basically going to transform Queens, New York into Vegas. So, no, Jim Jones, Nas doesn't have time to argue about who's more viral, who's the better rapper. This is about real life and legacy. So, if you're Jim Jones, you gotta feel crazy right now.
Let me pause it there, man. Kind of made me feel away. This video kind of made me feel immature for a second. You want to know why? This is one thing I will always do for you guys on the Sorry Shoe podcast. I will always keep it 1,000. You guys see me on camera tear up. You guys see me take shots at myself. You guys see me admit when I was wrong, when I was right. You know, I keep it real, man. This video made me feel small because I keep reminding myself over the last couple years, I have to stop fly swatting more and more, right? We all have pride. We all have ego. We all love to protect our names and our legacies. And I have to remind myself, you know, the little fly guy, Aye Verb, for example, that's been in my title for the last 11 days. The man has zero effect on my life, my legacy, my reputation. Zero. You know, like nobody's questioning me other than like 1 or 2 tweets that I might get from dumb peons. Like there's zero effect from this man. And I'm going to give you more description as far as the edited blogs based on that in a second. But this is what I mean about Nas. Now, Nas generally in his career was more game than Jay-Z. Jay-Z ducked a lot of fades. He ducked a lot of fades. We didn't really get that engagement with Joe Budden that we wanted. He damn sure curved Jim Jones. You know, he did the We Fly High, Brooklyn, big shot. But he didn't really do too much like all out, we at war, battle, back and forth. Same thing with Jadakiss. He subbed him a bunch. And after the original is probably this, right? He did that type of shit. Beanie Siegel. Did he really engage with Beanie Siegel when Beanie Siegel went rogue? No. You know, and there's more. There's so many examples of Jay-Z just staying on cloud 9. And sometimes that is a great tactic, right? If you don't engage, you don't add the other side of the story, and then the fans don't have both sides to then propel and go crazy with. That's one thing, right? But there is a literal situation of I don't have time and I am too big for that. Even Jim Jones, he said in one of his recent interviews, yeah, he's a wealthy man. He's worth $100 million, as if Jim Jones just found that out recently, because they Googled the net worth of Jim. They had him like around 10 million. They had Nas at like 100, right? I think that's Jim Jones just found that out recently. Like, ooh, okay, he's a wealthy guy. Like maybe he don't have time for me. And Nas, I just pulled it up, 51 years old. 51. Is he capable of coming down and doing the back and forth with Jim Jones? Of course. I think he's still a competitor. I think he's always been game for that type of stuff, but he literally might not have the time for it. Like literally, he literally may not be disrupted by Jim Jones at all. And if Jim is right, where he's saying, I'm the reason you're going viral, it could be a thank you. You know, like I'm the guy that I always will accept my own wins if I'm a part of them. Right? It's just like, hey, I'm the reason why you got more views. Thank you. When the check comes, you don't get any of it. Stupid. You know what I'm saying? So Nas is 51 years old, and you come out with news like this while you're saying you're helping him go viral. Perfect fucking timing. You know, and if you drop this casino move right here, it actually means that right now, Nas, you probably shouldn't engage Jim Jones. You should leave that alone because that becomes way too petty for the news that's at the forefront of what you got going on. Right. So big win for Nas. Dope to see. He's doing it in Queens. Doing it in Queens. Major move, already worth $100 million, 51 years old. Man, he doesn't look 51 to me. Shout out to Nas. Khalees isn't Khalees's baby mother? Khalees out there looking good too, man. I don't even know how old Khalees is. She's out there looking still in her lower 30s or some shit too, man. Man, beautiful to see people making these type of power moves. And this is not a Jim Jones hate moment for me. I rock with Jim. I think he makes a bunch of mistakes. I think he could be abrasive at times. I think there's some immature moments that he has. Cool. But I rock with Jim, man. I mean, I don't want to rewind time and say remove Jim Jones from hip hop. Fuck no. He's done a lot. So this is not a Jim Jones hate. But yeah, this you just walk away with this L. Like Jim Jones, you're getting some bookings for interviews now, and your name is hot, and maybe some extra calls for shows. He admit himself. This is about keeping himself in the algorithm because Jim Jones is what, 49, 48, 49 years old. So it's working for him on a smaller level, but he'll take that. He has no problem picking up his $5, $10, $15,000. And Nas is over here signing $1 billion plus contracts. It's working for him too. Everybody wins, right? So no harm, no foul there. But Jim, you got to chill. You got to pick a different opponent at this point if you want to stay in the algorithm. Leave the Nas one alone, and let's go a different direction to entertain your fans. All right. All right, let's go into battle rap. That's gonna help me transition into the title. Battle rap. I see a lot of news going on around John the Don, his previous event that had the headline of John versus Cassidy, that Endgame card. We know a bunch of the story. For the most part, the main event didn't happen. John has put out his side of how things transpired leading into that event and then the aftermath of it. And so is Cassidy. Cassidy has spoken publicly as well. I don't want to get into the Cassidy and John stuff. I rock with John. You know what I'm saying? Everybody know Cassidy, my nigga. So, I'm not even going there. I'm leaving that alone. Right. But now, like some of the other stuff, and when I see other battles, like I did see Yoshi start talking about some stuff, and I was just like, all right, because I'm tapped into battle rap. Maybe you guys think because I am so focused on building my podcast with just the pure entertainment stuff, right? And it's my fault. I haven't done enough battle rap. Some of y'all might think I'm not tapped in. I still see everything moving. I love battle rap. I just don't talk about it as much, right? And I owe y'all more battle rap topics. I'm even doing that to a degree tactically with the Verb shit. I'm engaging my battle rap audience. Right? It's chess, not checkers. But I'm seeing it. And when I see a bunch of bloggers pick a topic up, and when I see the people involved start talking about it, that opens the doors that much more for me to say this is a relevant topic. There's a heavy subscription on this channel for battle rap. So let's chop the fable a little bit, and I will give a perspective on it, right? No harm, no foul. So let me pull up John's recent video. Shout out to 15 Minutes of Fame. They caught up with him on the street, and he addressed some questions that Uncle Ra had for him.
Could I ask you what everybody's on your heels about? Everybody's saying you owe money. A lot of people. I can't say. I think Cassidy started it though. Cassidy was saying.
That's what I'm saying. Who was saying that? Why is them people telling everybody else that, not telling me that? I don't know what's going on. I don't make no sense.
Right. So you ain't got no problems with nobody. Everybody's taken care of.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, the only thing that went wrong was the end game shit, but everybody I spoke to understand what went wrong with that. So.
Well, I think that's what they talking about, the end game. I guess a lot of people on the end game saying it's still money being owed.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
I'm owed money. Everybody's owed money. What are you talking about?
Okay, I didn't.
Yeah, of course. That's what I'm saying. But that's the.
All right, so he was straight up with it right there, right? I mean, even that first piece, I was skipping over it. I didn't want to try to pick out John's words too much, but it did catch me real quick when he said for the most part, right? It's supposed to be, yeah, everybody is or they isn't. But he said for the most part, I was like, ooh. But I left that. But then you get to this point right here, and he's being forthcoming. He's being straight up. There's no way to twist his words at this point with what he's saying.
clear. That's been, and then that's one of the things. How I do all these events, and there's one of the things where there's an issue, but then it was a major issue. A major part of the event didn't show.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? There was 3 parties involved. It was me, Cassidy, and another entity involved here. You see what I'm saying? So this is where the funds are coming from. So if Cassidy doesn't show, the funds are not there. And on top of me already losing, I gotta lose more on top of the fact that he didn't show and didn't do all of that. But I explain this to everybody involved. I don't care for everybody that's not involved to really explain this to everybody. This is the side of this that niggas ain't gonna understand because you're not in these shoes. So it's easy to say certain things or whatever niggas on my heels. I know on my heels, but I don't know nothing about it. Nobody's on my heels.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So it's just like what's out there. You know what I mean? Like what's out there. That's clear. I don't hide nothing. I didn't run off. Niggas make it seem like whatever I did was in the benefit of me. How? I lost more than everybody. Literally. You know what I'm saying? I lost more than everybody. So how is it a scam if I lost?
Right.
Doesn't make no sense. People want to say what they want to say because of whatever narratives or you know how this shit go. It's just cool to talk about somebody or to do all that. Like that's just what it is. You know?
Yeah, I'm quite sure you're gonna hear some of that tonight.
I mean, that'd be good.
But as far as you go right now, you're clear with everybody except Cassidy. Cassidy definitely still doesn't still not happy with the situation for whatever reason.
Not happy. You got money to do nothing. Ran and watching the whole thing. How are you not happy? You are the only one that didn't lose at it. You are the only one that won out the whole situation. Really. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on.
And you didn't get your deposit back from him.
No,
Should you have gotten your deposit back from him?
yes.
Okay.
If you don't come to a battle because you can't make it, that's on you. It was also in the contract. It was up to 6 months to make it happen. So this is why I was kind of falling back. It was up to 6 months if people did not show and you could work it out.
Right.
You was able to work it out within 6 months. You know what I mean?
Has it been 6 months?
Yeah,
It's been 6 months. So now, since the 6 months is up, now you're supposed to get your money back.
Yeah, but it's
Okay.
like again, it was a third party involved. Like you know what I mean? He got to send them the money back. You get what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
Like, he got to send them the money back. They whatever they on his ass. Like that ain't like you know what I mean? So that's why this is again, like this is shit that people don't know. Like the type of deals that being played. Everybody is just so cut and dry on how to put together battle league events. Everybody's doing the same simple one. Y'all don't understand how certain things got to be played here. Deals got to be made. You ain't just jumping out there when niggas saying the money is going in battle rap. Like we need money to be brought here. When the money is here, when sponsors are coming willing to give money and not really expecting much back. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's where we at.
Okay. All right. I had to ask, man. You know, because in the culture, man, you hear things and then I saw the Cassidy thing. So, but as long as you all right, so you don't need my help tonight. Like nobody's gonna be.
And I ain't gonna lie, this bleeds into the title a little bit too of sponsors. So, John here mentioned there's 3 parties involved. He said basically, I don't want to misquote him, himself, Cassidy, and a third party, which it sounds like is the person or the entity that came to the table with the money because he said Cass has to send that person the money back, right? So it from the wording of this, it seems that from John's side or the bullpen side, he wasn't the person primarily, I would say, or at least for the majority of it, financing the business or the money of the artist or Cassidy. That's what I'm interpreting right here, right? That's a sponsor, right? You also have or an example of a sponsor, right? I mean, then again, there is a difference between a sponsor and an investor. Okay, we make that mistake a lot. And I'm going to get to the Danny piece, and then I'm going to give you my overall take at the end. The difference between a sponsor and an investor. People think that sponsors look for nothing in return. Rarely is there absolutely nothing to gain. Now you'll have a Gerald McCoy, and we'll get to the way that he carried himself within battle rap, and if he was ever looking for something in return. You got somebody like a Frank. Shout out to Frank. Frank's got his own company that gets promoted, and he has his own personal ambitions, and he also enjoys being a part of battle rap. That's why he's in spaces. That's why he's active. That's why he associates and deals with so many people in battle rap, right? There are personal factors there for him, okay? I once was a sponsor. Who remembers my history? I have blogs talking about it. I was sponsoring battle rap media events. That's where you see battles like 40 Bars versus Dutches and whatnot, right? And what was my gain? What was my gain? I was being a part of things that I wanted to see happen. So there was some personal incentives there, and there was opportunities for me to possibly make money as well, even though I never did while I was with Battle Rap Media. But there was a possibility that I could at some point maybe make some money. Okay. Investors. What's an investment? If I put some money on crypto, if I put $100 on crypto, I'm hoping that one day that shit turn to $150, 200, 300, right? That's an investor. So when you got these investors that come to the table, they definitely are looking for a return on their money. If they put up money for somebody's deposit, for somebody's battle, they're looking for that event to turn around a certain way, or that scenario to turn around a certain way, and at least bare minimum, give them back the money that they put in, right? Bare minimum. That's why we say there's a difference between assets and liabilities, because assets are supposed to turn back the money that you pay in. Liabilities, like a car, as soon as you drive off the parking lot, that's it. It's already going to depreciate in value. Okay. So I don't want to jump out the window and say, was this an investor? Was this a sponsor? You know, we mix those words up. I'm not a part of this business. I didn't read these contracts. You know what I'm saying? But there is a very, very big difference. Okay. A very, very big difference. And the understandings between the three parties of who's paying what, that's big. And then you also have the responsibilities that tie into the other artists, right? Now, this is where I'm going to bring up Danny Myers' piece. I'm going to use him as an example for the point I'm going to make now. The responsibilities that tie into the other artists. What is that about? Let's say hypothetically there's a sponsor or an investor involved. And let's say that person is interested in John. Let's say that person is interested in Bullpen. Let's say that person is interested in Cassidy. Let's say that's the main people I'm working with, right? Sometimes you could have muddy water based on who's doing the other business. Who else is on the card? Let's say Bad News was on the card. Let's say Chef Trez. I don't remember the whole Endgame card, but let's say Chef Trez was on the card. Let's say Danny Myers was on the card. Reggie P was on the card, right? Who is negotiating with them? Who sent them the contract? Who signed their contract? In that contract was the investor or the sponsor. Were they associated in that contract in regards to the financial responsibility? That is huge. That is key, right? That would make somebody like John and Danny Myers, as far as these now public discrepancies, one person saying this and another person saying something different, that piece in the contract would be key, okay? If that contract says the investor or the sponsor, and they should be named in there, they are responsible for your payment, i.e. like the deposit or your back end, or it could even be split. Me as John, the face or the owner of Bullpen or Bullpen LLC, I will be paying you your deposit, but your back end will be paid by the sponsor or the investor. If that is in the contract, that is huge. That is huge. And when you do that type of business, like if I'm in Bullpen shoes and that's my interpretation of how the end of this event is going to go, where the person that is owed to pay Danny Myers isn't me, it's the investor. That's written into the contract, right? But I'm not hearing artists say that. So once again, let me play devil's advocate a little bit and not lean too heavy in either direction. Okay, don't know the contract. When I listen to Danny Myers, though, his perspective is one that gives an angle that I think a lot of people are bringing this to the news with, right? And the amount of the money that he's saying is also part of it.
And it's not even a lot of money. Like, that's the thing. It's not a lot of money.
Okay,
but I'm still owed to this day.
Right. So
not from the Loso shit.
From the Cassidy game battle.
Me and Reggie P battle, which hasn't dropped, and then the end game. So again, now this is the crazy part, and I will fault myself for it. But you know, when he spoke with me, he was like, "Yo, I know shit didn't go as smooth with the Mr. Fab event. That, you know, I ain't gonna do no shit like that. That was my first time doing like a collaboration event. I ain't really doing that no more. Look, man, I got this big event. Me and Cassidy in game. You know, Reggie P said like you're his in game battle, so you know, can you give him a shot? Blah blah blah. I'm like, cool. We agreed on X amount of dollars, and he was like, I guarantee you, I'm going to, you know, make sure you get all your bread. So me and Reggie P battle, it was a dope battle. It was a dope battle, by the way, for those that seen it live on the pay-per-view stream.
We watched it here. And also, Mr. Cardi talking about the in-game card right here.
Yeah.
Him and Cassidy to happen. Bad News, T-Rex, clone, J-Rock, Shay-Rack,
So-
there's the rapper. I'm gonna let Danny tell you about the event and what happened and what didn't happen.
So I ain't even trying to. I'm not even here to even drag John. But you can't lie to people. You can't lie to people and saying everybody was paid, because now after the Reggie P battle, he gives me some money outside, and then he's like, "Yo, give me."
What was the conversation before going? Because he played you before.
The conversation was like, "Guarantee you're gonna be paid." I know shit didn't go smooth with the Loso battle, you know, but he did eventually pay. He did eventually, like I said, he did pay me everything he owed me from the Loso battle. Right. But it took like 5 to 6 months. It's just like, okay, cool, whatever. But then he dropped the battle. So there's no harm, no foul. Fuck it.
Right.
Yo, I got another event. Me and Cassidy want you on the card. I guarantee you all your money. You know, just trust me on this one. All right, John. We agreed on an amount.
Okay.
He gave me a deposit. After the battle, he gave me some more of the money that was owed, and he said, "Yo, just give me a couple days, and I'll send you the rest what I owe you." And it was only like a couple days. So let's say the battle was on a Sunday. I think it was a Sunday, if I'm not mistaken. But he was like, "I got you by Tuesday." I'm like, "Cool, I can wait 2 days for the last little whatever."
Right.
Tuesday come, he texts me like, "Listen, bro. Long story short, by Cassidy not showing up, it messed up a lot of money, it messed up a lot of things, and it put me in a bad position. And basically, I can't give you, you know, the last little bit of money I owe you."
So with this, the way you owe, was it more or less or around the same?
The same, yeah. And I mean, to be honest, it's only $1,000. It's only $1,000. To be honest, like, you know what I'm saying? It was only $1,000 that he owed me, and he was like, because Cassidy didn't show up, I can't give you the other $1,000 that I owe you.
So he just try to work out. So obviously, you and I'm sorry about the other. Who did you battle? Reggie P. You and Reggie P battle now, right?
Like, say it again.
P battle is not right now, right?
No.
Right. So
And that's why I never tripped, because he didn't put it out. Like, that's one thing I will say. It would be some shady shit to. It would be some shady shit to not pay the artists and put their battle out while they're not paid. Because now that causes a different type of problem.
Right. So to this day,
you understand what I'm saying?
Say nothing or say they no arrangement. He just saying
no. He just said he can't do it. He can't pay me.
All right.
He can't pay me. He can never pay me. So there.
So I want to say this, man. Communication is always key, right? Communication, especially in business, especially in discrepancies, right? Communication is key. It sounds like, from what Danny is saying, that they had conversations about post-event. All right. And Danny says there was a time where he said, he gave him some, and then gave me a few, I'm gonna give you the rest. And it gets to a point where it's just like, all right, there was a domino effect from the main event not happening, and I can't pay the rest, but the battle isn't dropping, so Danny ain't tripping. You know, communication. There's been times where, you know, if my communication or both parties' communication was better, I think things could have been avoided. So I've been on both sides of the coin, man. I get it. The thing here as well is I do want to shout Danny out for the way he's handling this, right? Because here's the thing. In most people's contracts, definitely mine, we own the masters to the footage. We own the full rights to the footage, which means that we can do whatever we want with it. Once you are paid for your battle, or, you know, I meet the agreement at hand, as far as the footage, I could do whatever I want. I could chop it up. I can manipulate it. I can take your first round. This is what the contract says. Nobody does this, but I could take your first round and put it in the third round. I could take your third round and put it in the first round. All right. I can sell it to Netflix. I can take it to an app, right? I can put it over here, make some money off of it over there. And you will not be tied to it, because my contract says I have full ownership and full rights to 1000% this visual and this audio. Now, Danny's handling this from his words there in a way that I think is dope, because technically 9 times out of 10 a contract isn't stipulated that I can keep your back end if I do not put out the footage. That kind of seems that in this scenario that is becoming an after effect, not necessarily a pre-agreement. A contract should never say that, right? We want to know why a contract shouldn't say that. I mean, that would be in a league owner's benefit. A contract shouldn't say that for a battler, because if it says that, if the battler gets there, he really prepped, he really had his A game, he really gave a fuck about the battle, he gave a fuck about the event, the opponent, the business, everything. He got there and he just blacked out, and he just started choking all 3 rounds. Like, I don't know what's happened. Like, my mind is just going blank. That really happens to people. And then the owner sees that and he says, damn, this battle isn't worth 100,000 views anymore. This battle's going to do 2,000 views. This battle ain't worth it for my channel anymore. I want to vault this now. So you want to know what? Because I'm going to vault it, I don't have to pay you. No, that's not how it happens. Then you would be giving the league owner the ultimatum to just sit there and say, is this classic or not? Do I want to put this on my channel? No, well, fuck it. I don't need to pay you then. And that's the proper business in our agreement. No. So Danny's actually handling this in a dope way that he probably doesn't have to beat 1,000, to be honest, right? If the man completes his work, now he mentioned $1,000, right? You know, you got options out there, like, you know, like give Danny the footage, like, Danny, if I give you the footage, I don't owe you no money, boom, boom, and then we're done. Or you keep paying the man. What, like, who knows? If you interview John again, maybe he would say, I don't owe Danny any money. So who knows? I don't know. That's a discrepancy right there. But here is now me getting into business management, right? And mind you, I've never had a single battle rapper say that I owed them money for 11 plus years until I got to this guy named Aye Verb, right? The extortionist. I had an 11 plus year run. And then I got to Aye Verb, and finally I owe somebody some money because he was triggered at a fucking Instagram post that Hitman Holla put up. What are you gonna do, right? Even my record gets broken by an extortionist lying piece of, right? It is what it is. But here's one of the reasons why I've never had that accusation. And I could use Aye Verb for one of these examples. How's that for transitioning over piece by piece? The owner of the company, or in this case, the Battle Rap League, we are in a position to take the biggest L's. We sign these contracts and these battlers have guarantees. This is what your deposit is. This is what your total is, and your back end equates to it. Boom. We don't get the guarantees. Like 99.9% of the time, you're not going to have a deal with the battle rapper that says, you pay me this if your door or your venue is sold out, or if the views on your YouTube video does 1 million views, or if your pay-per-view crosses this threshold. 99.9% of the time, that's not battle rap business. So the league owners, we inherit all of the risk. It is what it is. We have to know the market. We have to know how much we're spending. We have to judge the landscape. We have to time the right way. We have to promote the right way. We have all these factors to try to turn our no guarantee situation into the green, or into a plus, or into a profit, right? It's not easy to do. You got to gain experience over time. Like, remember with Rem, you know, Rem came in, she said, you get 10, you get 10, you get 10, you get 10, you get 10. And later on, it's just like, oh, wait a minute, I'm overpaying. Right. I gotta change the way I'm cutting certain checks to certain artists, right? And so you learn the market and you learn the return. You learn the ROI with certain battlers, certain matchups, certain cards, certain promotions, yada, 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 yada. So even though we are in the position to take the biggest L, the owner is also in the position to have the biggest win. That's the nature of the beast, right? No battler has made more. 99.9% of the battlers have not made more money over the course of the biggest league owners' runs, right? You take whoever you think are the 5 biggest league. I don't care about best or not best. I'm just talking about biggest as far as scale of the amount of investment, money, matchups, and events that they have done over a period of time. Take those top 5 owners, right? Especially over the course of time, because we also own the rights to this, the masters and everything. Those top 5 people have made more than they've lost, and some have made millions more than they've invested in. Okay, so you're in that position to make more, to be the owner of the footage, to have the pay stuff going forward. I'm still getting paid for Daylight versus Oops. It happened in like 2014, right? Daylight and Oops aren't getting paid from it, but I am. Now you roll that into 10 years of works that I paid for. That's the part of being an owner. I might have took a loss, you know, on this 8 years ago, but I own it. So what do I do with the rights to it? URL, for example, gets to a point where they say, I'm going to put it on an app. All that backlog stuff that I used to have here or whatever, I'm going to put it, right? So you depending on your choices and how you navigate, the owner is absolutely in the seat to earn the most as well as lose the most. But going with both of those factors, they carry all the liability, right? What do I mean? What's an example of liability? It's right here. If an event takes a turn, if the pay-per-view goes out, if the pay-per-view shuts down, if the fans don't walk through the doors, your contract still binds you to your obligation and definitely your word, right? But your contract still binds you. In battle rap, nobody gets sued 99.9% of the time, right? I could have sued 1 million people. I never did. 1 million artists for bad business, and I never did. Even people like Aye Verb, never sued them, right? And the thing about being bound to your word of your contract means whether I'm in the green or I'm in the negative, that agreement still gets covered. My very first event, New Year Order, I tell this story many, many times over the years. I mentioned this. It was the first event of the year. This is New York, January, and it was a snow weekend. All right. So you got my event on a Saturday, and you got the EBL event that was started off by Harry, and he booked like URL to host it and all of that, and Cole do it with him or whatever. I was the Saturday, he was the Sunday, and we both got fucked over by the snow, right? Like, luckily, my event was in Manhattan, and if you know Manhattan in New York is an area that's prepped for snow. Manhattan is running billions of dollars each day through that city, right? So when you get a couple feet of snow, you turn around, the streets, the sidewalks, they plowed in Manhattan. So a lot of people were still able to make their way. And I probably had all the artists, you know, maybe in hotels in Manhattan too. I forget. But I was able to get every single battler to the venue on a snow Saturday, right? Lucky. Not just the snow, but it was also my first event. You got to build your following. There probably was anywhere from 50 to 75 people in the building. Club Drum holds up to 350, 400-ish, right? It's considered a mid-sized, smaller venue. It's not a big stage venue. Everybody knows Club Drum at this point. And about 50 to 75 people in there, right? Aye Verb walks in. He walks up to me. I'm watching him. He's looking around. He's seeing the building is kind of empty, right? And he asked me, how many times have y'all heard me tell this story before? He asked me the question. He says, yo, am I still rapping? Right? And what he's really asking is, I know the game. I'm in this venue. I didn't promote parties before. Remember, he's a party promoter and all that. The money that you owe me and possibly the rest of the battlers on this card, if I go perform, did not walk through this door. And this is also at a time where Battle Leagues was pretty much paying off of the door money and or to a degree YouTube, because YouTube was still up. Pay-per-view wasn't super strong of a force like that yet. It was like more sparse, right? My first event, I didn't even want to do pay-per-view because I felt like it dumbed down my YouTube. I started doing black and white VOD first. Who remembers that? All right. So that was a way for me to preserve the final drop on YouTube. And then I realized pay-per-view, I'm leaving a lot of money on the table. Rap Grid convinced me as well. And I said, all right, let's start doing pay-per-view. But anyway, I looked at Verb like he was crazy because I had a contract with him that I owed him. What was the boom battle? What did I put up there the other day? It was $2,000, right? And he might have had like either $1,000 or $500 deposit. I probably owed him $1,000, right? Back end. Ironically, the same amount that Danny Myers is saying that he's owed right here. Ironically, no bullshit. I just did that on accident. No bullshit. And I looked at him like he was crazy. I was like, what are you talking about? Like, you're coming up next. Like, you and Boom's about to take the stage. You ready to work? Right? And also tell the story that me and Shata was already looking at our ticket sales going into the event. Like, if we had 50 to 75 people in the building, You always remember, you get a bulk of your sales at the door at this time. It's not pre-sale. Pre-sale is the minor piece of it. The majority is the day of, right? People buy more pre-stuff when it's like, I have to lock this in. Like, I think this event is going to sell out, or that's a limited stage pass or a limited VIP. That's a majority of pre-sale stuff. General admission for a league that don't even got a reputation like that, they paying at the door. Me and Shot the scope and the ticket sales and everything going in, and we forecasted a $5,000 plus loss before we even got to the event. We were just doing our math, but we had the mind state of being investors. You see the tie-in? We had the mind state of being investors. We invest into this platform. We invest into this company. We invest into the time of building this. Next event might be better. The event after that might be better. The event after that might be better. And we will build. Hence the motto, brick by brick, right? Those type of philosophies being implied into investor mentalities. Invest. Let it have time to build. Can't put money into something and then 5 seconds later, unless you're playing roulette, right? I'm not gambling, I'm investing. So Verb performed, Adi Boom performed, Goods performed, Danger Zone performed, Swave 7 performed, Rosenberg Raw performed, Bonnie Godiva, Duchess performed, Flames, Bones, Oops, Blu-ray, I don't know, 16, 18 artists performed that night. Everybody got paid, and I took a loss. When you fast forward though to being investing into your company, building it, when you get to places like, let's say, Max Out 1 or 2 or 3, right? Or of course, there's been a lot of good events before that we've had our hits where we've made some good money, right? But at a time where Aye Verb got paid out of me and Shot's own pocket because we didn't make it and we took the L, but made sure that he left with his money, right? Fast forward now when it's my turn, because I invested and I played the owner, I played the long game. Then when somebody posts up $456,000, he starts bitching. Oh, I did not mean to do a transition and connection like that. I didn't plan that. It's real shit. It's real shit. So I say all of that to say this: leagues. And once again, shout out to John and shout out to Danny Myers. I fuck with both of those guys. Maybe there's some gray area in their communications. Maybe there's some misunderstandings between those two. So I ain't full throttle like that in either direction. I fuck with both of those guys. But leagues, there's really two scenarios. The first scenario is a more lower budget based on how much money you have personally event, and you should aim to have everything covered yourself. If the event goes left based on your contract, your negotiations, and it just is what it is. And this ain't a shot at Diz, because I know everybody remembers when me and him got into it over that rec shit and whatnot. This ain't a shot at Diz. Shout out to Diz. That's water under the bridge. Shout out to Diz, man. He's a legend. But he went through that, right? With that big Return of GTX event. And there's a bunch of artists after, right, that didn't get their money, you know, the Marvs and, you know, people that just didn't get paid, and some had to wait and some whatever. You know, you have to cover your costs. It's part of the game. Or you have to do a smaller scaled budget. You have to be able to cover your costs. All right. Now, if you do get jammed up, now let's say you're doing a bigger event and you're just doing it from a more experienced professional standpoint, knowing that some of the money that's made is just going to change hands. It's just going to go from the pay-per-view to me in the middle to the battle rapper. It never stays with me. It just passes through me, right? That's when I get to say, I got Hitman and Cassidy booked, right? I know their back end. I definitely don't want to go into my savings account for that shit if this shit goes left, right? And in so many words, I need to be experienced enough to make sure that this shit goes the right way. I'm working with the right camera crew that can troubleshoot in the building pay-per-view issues. I'm working with a solid pay-per-view provider, Rap Grid, so I know my stream is going to be up. You know what I'm saying? So my money's coming in. I'm I'm working with artists and I have relationships and promotional runs and communications with everybody. And I'm sure that the bulk of everybody's going to be in the building, the people that I'm working with. And I'm applying my experience to all of these areas to make sure that when that night is over, I don't have to worry about, oh shit, I owe Cassidy and Hitman $500,000 and I got to go find that in my own savings account. You know what I'm saying? I am using my experience to make sure that all these pieces run right. And some of that is even the main event, you know, it's like how that situation is put together, how that understanding is, and things obviously went left between John and Cassidy. The details are the devil's in the details, you know. But that's the second thing. If you're gonna scale an event that is very expensive, people, and if you don't have it covered from you and yours, you have to make sure that you are sweating for the whole 3 months of that rollout, knowing that you are applying your work ethic and your experiences to make sure that everything goes right. It's the shitty position. I shouldn't say shitty. It's the hard spot and job of the owner. And that's not just battle rap, of the owner. You know what I'm saying? I'll give you one more example. I opened up a hair and nail salon once upon a time in Staten Island, right? We had a lease on the place. And the projected opening that we had based on the work that we had to do inside, we had to cut through the concrete of the floor and reroute water lines and everything, because we were building like spa stations, shampoo stations, pedicure stations and all that. And none of that water was running under the ground. We had to do so much work with the city underneath the ground, building, totally remodeled the whole place. As a matter of fact, Goods was there. When me and Goods first signed our first contract together, we linked up in person. Back then, niggas wasn't even doing everything over email. You know what I'm saying? It's pull up on me, let's sign this contract, and I'm gonna give you a cash deposit. You know, Goods was like, yo, where you want me to meet you? I gave him the address to my business that I was opening. When he walked up, he could see it was still a war. We were still building it. You know what I'm saying? Goods will tell you that. But the opening of that day was probably at least 3 to 4 months past what we projected when we first started to play, me and my business partner. And the lease was probably like $7,000 a month or some shit. It was a heavy lease, right? 7, 8, I forget. But if you push back 3 months, 7, 14, 21, that's $21,000 out of your pocket that you didn't project. And not only is it $21,000 out of your pocket while you're still paying the lease, you got to have the lease first before you get in there and start doing work, right? Not only is it $21,000 out of your pocket for the lease, but you're also fucking over the projection that you had of those 3 months of you earning, right? Of starting to get on your brick by brick road, chopping in. I know this is turning into a business conversation. I hope we're enjoying it. I hope this is cool for y'all. But I'll get off of it. For people that's like more battle rappy, I'll leave it alone. Because I know some of y'all is like, all right, man. Now we get into business 101. I'll stop there. I'll leave it alone. Y'all know that I can rant about stuff like this. You try to says depending on the door for back ends is bad business. It's not solid. It's not smart practice, you know, because the door is a variable. It's this simple. The door is a variable. Every league has showed up and seen more people than they expected and less people than they expected. It's the nature of the beast, right? If the door is a variable and you make that part of your business, then that means that your contract is a variable, and your contract is supposed to be pure black and white. So you can't allow anything that is a variable to impact what's black and white. And that's one of the core business logics right there. Okay. Shout out to Miss Abby, says you are dropping so many gems with sharing your experience and expertise. I hope many are taking notes. Keep doing your thing, ARP. I don't know how I found your channel, but I really enjoy it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Miss Abby. I appreciate that. I continue to remind the world, remind people on this podcast, remind people on this channel. The last thing I am is an angel, and the last thing I am is perfect, right? But I do have a lot of experience in a bunch of areas that sometimes entertain and sometimes informative and sometimes helpful. You know, some of my closest friends, they call me for advice, you know, and it's been like that for a minute. I call people for advice too, but I have no problem sharing. I have no problem sharing experiences, man, because shit, I want my blessings too. I feel like it's karma, right? If I could help you avoid a pitfall, shit, that karma could turn back in my direction too. Let me avoid a pitfall. You know what I'm saying? I think it's karma tide. But I appreciate that, Miss Abby. All right. Shout out to Danny. Shout out to John. Just a little bit of a conversation around that big controversy, and I want to try to keep it positive. You know, I know it's a negative overtone to that topic that's going on the internet, but I want to keep it positive. Not talking shit, ARP, talking business 101 from experience is always much needed gifts of gold. Thank you, DC Mac. I appreciate that. Okay. Thank you, Mike. I appreciate that, man. I appreciate y'all. Thank you. Thank you for y'all allowing me to get those off. I think they're helpful for all of us. Let's transition into the title. Aye Verb deletes one of the biggest sponsors, since we're talking about money and battle rap and sponsors. I got a story here for y'all. Then I got a little post I put on my Twitter, and I want to give y'all an update. Once upon a time, I tweeted about a week and a half ago, I tweeted, do not overshoot your mark, but also destroy completely. Those are contradicting laws, right? I have no sympathy for somebody like Aye Verb because he's a compulsive liar. I just don't think he's a good human being. I've seen signs of who he is as a man. I don't care. It's not like I'm inviting him to my wedding or over my house for dinner, nothing like that. You know, as he mentions, I take the same position. We never had that personal of a situation. We got real cool. I think we developed a good amount of trust business-wise and everything. And he does the whole spaces and all that of I don't talk to these niggas and blah, blah, business. I have audio of him calling my phone and talking to me about movies for 40 minutes. Okay. I posted a screenshot of some of it. He's just such a compulsive liar. And just given his behavior, I realize, well, not that I realize now, I just know for a fact he's just not a good person. The way he carries himself, right? Just not a good to me. Some of y'all, he could be your savior, but for me, he's just not a good person. And I know there's alleged rumors that he's on bipolar medication, allegedly. And I know people play around with the substance claims around his name, and I'm not even convinced that he's doing hard substances. I'm not sure. I don't know, you know, but I do realize, like, it is Nas swatting Jim Jones at this point. Doesn't mean, once again, that I feel that he deserves any sympathy from somebody like me, considering some of the things that he's done in my direction. Like I said, he broke my 11-year streak. Nobody's ever accused me of owing them money. You know, he deserves much worse than I'm doing. If you don't pick up on some of the chessboard tactics that I've done in this last 11 days, right? I never would let Aye Verb take me out of what my main goal is, which is continue to rock with my channel and build my little humble podcast, right? I don't care if we do 1,000 views, 2,000 views, 3,000 views. We have a 250,000 view video for Kendrick and Drake. we did some 75,000 plus view videos for Rodney Hinton like last month, right? You know, we've had our ups and downs on the channel, and that's part of building. That's part of being brick by brick. And I love the journey. I love it. But if you notice, I didn't let him detract from what I do. I still get up here and say, all right, let's cover this Diddy day 29. And then I'll get to him later, right? I still make sure I'm covering all my news and staying true to my podcast format, right? All I allowed him to do was take over the title. That's really it. And be a battle rap topic inserted into the same thing that I'm doing. And another piece on the chessboard, if you've missed it, is I've left the edited videos as a backdrop, right? What do I mean by backdrop? Now, I'm not even supposed to, he's so weak as an opponent and as a human being, right? I could even tell some of my tactics and it'll have no effect, right? It'll have no effect. So the backdrop that I've left there, that I've been leaving there, is for if I ever felt that he was getting a little bit overly aggressive in my direction, right? Or if I ever felt that he really truly affected my character or my reputation. Or if I ever felt that he really got people thinking that I'm a liar or a bad person. Like those factors I left the backdrop for. And that's like a concept of not dumping your clip the moment that you kick in the door. What if there's more people upstairs or more people in the basement? You just emptied your whole shit. Nah, I still came through with heavy shit. Started out killing his 456 and all that type of shit and just make sure nobody believes that I owe this man money. And then I have some fun and remind people who he is and who we're dealing with for like the next 9 days. Now, one thing that I like to do with people like Verb is remind him that I am nothing like him when it comes to him being a bluff artist. So this is what I posted before the stream cut on, right? Look at the dates on this. You see today, June 29th. You see some June 22nd. That's a week ago. You see some June 24th. You see some June 25th. You see some yesterday, 28th. What I've been doing is I've been building, you see, this is in my temp folder. I've been pulling off of my USB drives as well as collecting shit off of the internet. And I've been building these brand new folders for this stream, for this, the alleged 40 days and 40 nights shit, right? So you see, for example, all his contracts, right? I pulled them off to make sure I have every single one ready to fire. The Bonnie one, some of that we did already, right? Caffeine, I have a bunch of stuff in there that I showed already, as well as stuff that I haven't put up yet. Like we put up the clip with Easy. I put up the reminder of KCJ. I put up the clips in a prior video of Max Out 3 and literally $20 million worth of views, allegedly, right? I put those videos and screenshots up for y'all, right? So when he says, you called me and said that Beasley robbed me or robbed us or whatever, right? The conversation amongst everybody was, we did solid for the era of battle rap that we're in. We did solid. But we all felt that we deserved more for Max Out 3. That's just the hardcore truth. We all felt like we deserved more. Everybody got paid. Everybody made their money. I don't owe anybody a single red cent, but we felt we deserved much more for that classic card and that good rollout and promo and nostalgia and everything that was built. It was like the perfect rollout. Perfect rollout. The other rollout that I feel like contests that one is 2018, the Rare Breeds card with Mook and Verb, when I did the mystery flyers, right? And the rollout and the timing of it, it was just, we shut everything down all the way up until the weekend of. It was timed and rolled out perfect. And Max Out 3 was one of those lightning in a bottle moments. So when we look around and we see $20+ million allegedly on other platforms, of course that was a conversation between us behind the scenes, right? But anyway, I have way more that I pulled off my drives to put in that folder there. Now you see the next folder says calls, right? Some would consider that a bluff, right? But if you know what an M4A file is, then you're done and you realize that's not a bluff. Okay, I already played a clip of his audio saying that allegedly people were trying to purchase and take my Iron and Verb contracted battle from me. I already played the audio of him telling me that, right? Somebody go ahead and think I'm bluffing if you feel that the Drake shit isn't there too. I haven't even got to that story yet. Okay. You got a folder for Can't Pay Holla More. We did some of that yesterday. I got a Gerald folder. I'm not even doing that today. I got the Iron, all the text messages, everything around Iron Solomon, Lift His Soul 3. What that is the card that he battled Jims on, MO3, Max Out 3. I'm ready for anything. Right? I got the Mook folder. Oh boy. I changed that this morning because I didn't want people to see what that name is. Oh boy. Right? PayPals and wires. I had to actually go through my payment history for him. And sometimes I was in my PayPal like, yo, where's this payment for Max Out 3? Because I know I paid him pay-per-view money that he said he never got a cent from. Where is it? And I was like, oh, there it is. We did it on a wire transfer. Oh, I found it. Verb, am I lying in any of this shit? Right. So I pulled that in there. Pedo stuff is him running his mouth about stuff, but I started to collect it. Personal is a bad one. I'm gonna keep it 1,000. I'm gonna be so transparent here. The personal folder is not a threat. It's not a bluff. I'm not trying to scare him off the mound. Um, I could show you some stuff right now. Let me clean up my call log, and then I'll show you something. I'll show you something because he gave me the green light. I said, "Yo, can I mention that I spoke to you on one of my streams?" And he said yes. I wouldn't do this unless he said yes. But I just deleted everything in my call log except for this Tuesday, June 24th call and this Friday, June 27th call, which is 2 days ago. Right? You see that name? You see A Ward? See A Ward? Right? You see that? A Ward really is a man of God. The stuff that A Ward could have brought to his Aye Verb battle is very, very nasty work. He really is a man of God. And it's very ironic how much Aye Verb took it past battle rap when he battled A Ward. You know, he was calling him things like a racist. Now we know anything goes, you know, when you're locked in for a battle, cool. But some people go there and some people don't. If you're Arsenal, everything's fair game. Other people say, don't you dare say my daughter or say this or say that. Everybody's different. But Aye Verb, you know, because I think he felt like A Ward, he could just get anything off on like that. And it was promo. It was promo. I ain't gonna bitch now. But you know, calling him a racist and I think Ward mentioned to me that Aye Verb went to depths of like posting his address and stuff like that, brought his mother into it. We don't see that too much in promo runs, people. And it's ironic that A Ward had some extremely, extremely personal stuff on Aye Verb and didn't use it. But these calls start to include me in some of that stuff. And that's where I add stuff like that into that personal folder that you see there. That's basement level stuff. I don't want to go there. They would say, ARP, you're doing way too much. And I would only go there if I felt like somebody had the nerve to play with me on a certain level, right? Most of what I've done so far is battle rap, right? It's not comfortable for him. It's not comfortable for anybody, right? But that's why I have that folder. Solicitation. This includes a whole bunch of text messages of him begging me for battles and all this type of stuff. Sus behavior is more of a fun one, right? That's a fun one of all of his boy, if you don't know how many, like, oh, actually, you guys know the clip I'm talking about, right? Verb and URL. That's all the cock buffing of URL that he's doing now versus all of his anti-URL stuff that he's done prior. I have a day here for Verb releases P audio. That was going to be for anybody. I was going to contradict anybody that came back and complained if I released his Drake shit audio. Like, damn, man, you release audio. And I'm just like, oh, wait, it was cool when he campaigned on P about releasing audio. I'm so prepared for a lot of this shit. The Verb suing one we did. I'm showing you this stuff. I'm not bluffing. I'm not bluffing. And if I come to the chat, this is why I think y'all are doing this. When the edited vids come in, my G, it's that time. Y'all know I'm not Verb knows I'm not bluffing too, because he knows like he's dumb enough to do and say the things that he does, but he's smart enough to know like, nah, he really has a lot of that shit. And he really is. AR's not a lie. He's not a pump faking. I'm not like you. You know what I'm saying? So he knows. He knows. And you know, me putting that stuff out there and even revealing 50% of the chessboard, which you're not supposed to do, is my way of saying, if you guys convince me that Verb is anything close to being a real man in any of the shit that he's been displaying over the last like couple years, then I'm gonna go there. I'm just not convinced. And that's why tactically leaving such a strong backdrop like that, you guys are saying the live streams are ethers. This is playpen shit to me. What's in the backdrop that I'm showing you is not a bluff, is that's the So for everybody that's waiting on the edited blogs, I probably will start removing him from my titles maybe tomorrow, right? If I catch little things that he's saying that bother me, I'll come tap his chin, right? I'll come tap his chin. And niggas know I got no picks in this shit. And not saying look, Aye Verb deserves that and then some from me. You guys have yet to get the iron shit from me, the Drake shit, the Mook shit. Like he deserves it, right? It's gonna stay there. And if he make me tap his chin, I will. But the truth of the matter is, Verb trying to ignore me and Verb trying to, he's got to apply some pride there and say ARP's name and take some little return fire. He's got to do something. Like he's still got pride, right? And then on top of that, he's got to stick up and lead the set. The people that won't be there for him, right? It's the pride before the fall. But I see the way he's maneuvering, and that is the way that Aye Verb actually does wave a white flag or apologize. That is his form. He could cut on his faces and say, ARP, fuck you, full of shit, you bitch ass nigga, do what you do, suck my dick, do that, and then cool, game on, game back on, right? And I'm not saying I'm done with him. I'm not saying that at all. Don't take this the wrong way. I'm not saying I'm done with him, right? I'm just not going to continue to give him haymakers when I know nobody believes him, okay? Because I'm kicking a dead body. So Aye Verb, you navigate that how you choose to. I ain't got no sympathy for you. I'm ready to tap your chin at any moment, right? But be careful, man. I interpret your white flag and your form of apology. I interpret it. All right. But play if you want, or keep playing if you want. The pride before the fall is real. Let's get into damn, that's a hell of an Aye Verb topic intro, ain't it? Let's get into this Gerald shit real quick. Let me play this video. For a second. Put this on the big screen.
Got a new show that I'm starting on Yahoo.
Let's go.
I work on NFL Network. I'm in the middle of acting class. I'm about to start doing auditions. Yeah. You think I got time for darkness?
Shit,
No, the darkest thing in my life came from dealing with battle rap. So I deleted it from my life. And this crazy thing is, the crazy thing is in battle rap, all I ever did was try and help. So a person who tries to help only receives negativity. Oh, sure.
Hey, I learned my lesson.
Nothing in my life has ever changed because I dealt with battle rap. Nothing. So I just deleted it because it's
scoring, dog. You scoring for real, bro. Like the way
it's just got a new show that I'm starting on Yahoo.
Let's go.
I work on NFL. He receives.
Yeah, Verb, you chose the right word. He is scoring. Gerald really is. I didn't grow up with Gerald. You know what I'm saying? Like, I haven't been around Gerald a million times or nothing like that. But you do get an impression of people as you build with them, and you deal with them, you talk to them. And my impression of Gerald is that Gerald is a very, very good dude. He really is. We share that in common. There's nothing in my life that changes if battle rap gets deleted in full, in total. Nothing from day one to day now. So me and him have that in common. So I can relate to him there. And sometimes you think you're doing a good thing, you're having fun, and you're working with people, whatever, and people will find a way to scorch that. Some of the best plugs or people or opportunities, people find a way to run them off. And you see when Gerald says, it was the only negative dark thing in my life, so I deleted it, right? That's why I put the word Aye Verb deletes, one of the biggest sponsors, right? He said, I deleted it. And you see Aye Verb's mannerisms in this clip. You could tell like he's burning inside. It's like, damn, I'm losing one of my main sources of income right now, right? And I think he's like trying to laugh it off on the camera. He looks uncomfortable right here, Aye Verb, like hearing this from Gerald, like, fuck. You know what I'm saying? Now, let's get into the Gerald story. yesterday I did it in that that lineup for a reason. So we talked about with evidence and with facts what really happened when it comes to did Aye Verb hate on Hitman Holla when it was time for me to try to book Hitman Holla for the first time? The answer is yes. We showed it in yesterday's stream. We showed the evidence. Aye Verb actually admit to it. It just is what it is. The facts are the facts. If you ignore black and white, you're that type of person. Okay. Now, fast forward to it happening again. Story mode time. So here I am one day, minding my business, having a regular day. I think I was working. I get a call from Gerald, right? And Gerald's like, "Hey man, I want to talk to you about something." I'm like, "All right, what's good, man?" And he's like, I want to ask you your advice on something, and I want your feedback on something because I know that you know Holla. You know what I mean? But I'm kind of in a spot here, and I want to speak to a person that has the business experience, knows Holla, and may also have some good advice, right? It's funny, I said earlier about like I've always kind of come off like that as a person that can give decent advice, right? And Gerald saw that in me for that moment. So he calls me. I'm like, "What happened?" And he's like, "I'm in the midst now of trying to get Holla and Mook done on URL." Now I'm finding out this for the first time. Holla, he's my right hand man, right? He ain't tell me this update. I know me and him's going back and forth talking about him and Beasley are talking about some stuff, but he ain't tell me that it got to this point. This probably was like a last minute advancement or like development, right? I didn't catch this up to speed with this yet. Gerald just put me on for the first time. So I'm like, "Oh, word? Okay, dope." He's like, "Yeah, so basically I just listened to a space with Hitman. Hitman is in a space saying he's never talked to URL about this battle. Him and URL is at odds. Him and Beasley is at odds. They don't talk. It's been years since they talk, yada, 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 yada." And Gerald's like, "I'm listening to this space with Holla." And I'm just like, hold on. Me and Holla was talking about the battle on URL, and Beasley was already in the mix of this. Why is he on spaces saying this? So what does Gerald do? He calls his friend Aye Verb before he calls me. He calls his friend Aye Verb, and he's like, "Yo, I want to ask your opinion on something. I'm in the midst of trying to conduct business with URL and Hitman Holla for the Murder Mook battle. But I just heard Hitman in spaces saying that he don't talk to URL and they don't fuck with it and all this type of shit. But I'm on the phone with Hitman and we're discussing this $20,000 initial deposit to lock the battle in for URL. What's your thoughts on that, Verb?" Verb, he glosses off as time passes. He tries to gloss off. I don't know what that is. That's what he tries, right? Here's a fact. It's no different than showing the tweets from yesterday. The areas that Verb went into is areas you're not supposed to go into if you are his friend or if you're not hating on the man. If he's asking you advice about, he's in spaces, but I'm already in talks with Beasley and Hitman about this $20,000 I'm about to invest into it. Like, what the fuck is this about? The moment that Aye Verb says, "Well, I'll tell you one thing, man. You should be careful working with Holla because look, I heard him and Nick Cannon fell out." Survey said that was a lie, right? The next one, "Look at Holla these days, man. He's in spaces more. I think that means that he's fiending for money. He's hungry for money. He's coming back into battle rap a lot." Survey says that's a lie. He just posted that he's got a spa and massage parlor opening up, right? I can't even tell you about the new business venture that he might be starting. It's too early. I'm gonna let him announce it, right? He's got his own platform going, and he's off and on tour with fucking Wildin' Out for like 20 years, right? That show isn't going anywhere. It's like The Simpsons. So Survey says that was a lie. Like Holla just, the thing about Holla in spaces and battle rap, he just was one of those god tier, top tier guys that just could never fully walk away, like a Conceited. Like Conceited is, and we praise Conceited. He's got him wilding out. He's like, peace. You pop up here and there, stand on stage at an event. Holla he just had to stay connected though. Like he never left. That was him. All right. That's the reason why he got approached by Coastal Rain to do that TV show, because they're looking at him like he's still there. He's still connected, and he's still one of the top names, and he got cut a bag for that. Anyway, so you mentioned things like Nick Cannon. Survey said that was a lie. Why isn't Spaces? Survey said that that's a lie, right? I hear he's going broke. I hear this. I hear that. You're throwing him under the bus with all this negativity that no businessman would then come behind and say, well, let me still send him this $20,000 then. Where does this stuff come from? Why are you mentioning Nick Cannon and Wildin' Out and his parents, or like all this other side quest shit? He just tries to gloss over it because he's full of shit, and he just does the whole like, I don't know what that is. That's not what you said to Gerald. And Gerald already is in spaces with me admitting to what you told him. Your friend Gerald is already admitting that, yes, you told him these things on that phone call. So after he speaks with Verb, I guess Verb's hate and jealousy and blocking, Gerald still wanted a second opinion. That's when I get the call. Okay. I'm hearing all this for the first time. And I was like, oh, what? Me and Gerald get to the end of the call, and I said, listen, this is what I'm going to do. I didn't blindside Gerald. I didn't throw Gerald under the bus. I told him, I said, look, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to call Holla. I'm going to bring him up to speed, and then we're going to get on a conference call together and sort this out, because I don't know what the fuck is going on. You cool with that, Gerald? He's like, bet. I'm like, all right, cool. Me and Gerald get off the phone. I call Holla. He doesn't pick up. I noticed that Holla's on Spaces. So I'm texting him. I'm like, yo, 911, get out of Spaces and call me. The reason why it's 911 is because I know how big it is to get Hitman and Mook situated. And now you got somebody that's willing to put the money up, because it's always been about who's going to pay for such a mega match. Here goes Gerald, the angel. He's ready to say, let me throw this $20,000, man, and get a contract signed and get this shit locked in finally, right? So I'm like, code red. And ironically, the RBE guy is code red to help it and proxy it happen on URL. I'm code red, right? I just want my karma to be decent. That's all. So he calls me back. He's like, what's good? And I'm like, at first, I don't even say Verb's name, because I'm already a part of the previous history that I showed yesterday. It's like, man, this ain't going to go well for the two brothers, because what Gerald just told me, like, ask Holla. I was like kind of dancing around it. I was like, yo, Gerald got a call and somebody's this. And I didn't say Verb's name. I didn't want to say his name. You know, Holla, I think, guessed it. I think he was just like, it was Verb, wasn't it? I kid you not. Y'all had to be on the phone call to hear Holla's demeanor change. I'm not talking about mad or enraged. Like, you know how when somebody's like sounds like nervous, not nervous like scary, nervous like adrenaline rushing, right? He was telling me on the phone, he was like, yo, please call Gerald right now. And I'm calming Holla down. And I said, hold on, let me text Gerald that I got you on the phone. I don't want to blindside him. I want you to make sure that you calm and we can get this conference call off the right way and have details come out the right way. And he's like, ARP, just please call Gerald. My hands are shaking. Please. That's how crazy he is about somebody at this point, pretty much calling him a thief. Like, no, you're being lined up for that 20, right? He's like, please call Gerald. Please call Gerald. My hands are shaking. My hands are shaking. ARP, please call Gerald. He's saying it like that. He's not yelling. No, he's like, please call Gerald. ARP, just please. Just please. And I'm like, all right. I text Gerald and then I call him. Now we're on three-way. All right. And here goes the haymaker that just wipes everything Verb says off the table. We let Gerald talk. I let him tell Holla what he told me. So now it's clear, right? This ain't no telephone game where I exaggerated something. No, Gerald got the opportunity to fully repeat everything that he told me to Holla himself. Now I'm just sitting there like moderator. All right. Hitman is so about his credibility. He doesn't want us to get off the phone and then him be able to get on a side mission call and prep somebody. He wants to do everything in flight. And that's why he had that awkward moment in Spaces when he talked about, he like stuttered. He was just like, we call Beasley, ARP is on the phone. He's like, oh, well, that's why he stuttered like that, right? Because I was already in the midst of those phone calls. And along the way, Beasley got called too, right? They wanted it all, or Holla wanted it all done in flight so he could see, y'all got me right here in the fire and there's no breaks between. There's not a moment where it's like, well, I didn't speak to Holla for the next three hours and he called me back after he possibly spoke with Beasley. No, they get Beasley on the phone And so much of what comes out of that is Beasley gets to tell Gerald that no, me and Holla are absolutely in touch about this battle, but me and Holla had an agreement that from a promotional standpoint, Hitman, keep getting in spaces, keep telling the fans and the bloggers and the media that you have a problem with URL. You and URL don't talk because the ball is rolling now. We got this Gerald 20 grand coming in. The ball is rolling. So keep that going. And then you want to know what? And this is great marketing and tactics from Beasley and Holla. Now, when that trailer drops, everybody is shocked. Like, just yesterday, Holla was in spaces dissing URL. And URL got the Mook in a Holla battle. It would have been explosive. It was coordinated. Here's another one. This is I could draw on other people to co-sign, right? During this time, I got on the phone with Murder Mook's manager, Van. And I said, yo, Van, I want to give you a heads up. If you hear Hitman Holla in spaces saying that he don't know nothing about the battle, URL ain't calling him or whatever, I don't want you and Mook to be over there saying, oh, that's cap. He's lying. This is full of shit. What the fuck is going on with Hitman? This is some goofy shit. Play along because Hitman and Beasley and Gerald, they got it going. It's fine. The ball is finally rolling. So what's being done in spaces is a promotional play for the impactful, let's let the world know that it's actually happening. I told Van that, and Van was like, okay, I got you, same page. Why would I call Van and tell him that? Van, am I lying or am I telling it? Did I ever call you and tell you that, Van? You know what I'm saying? Van, real nigga. You know what I mean? He knows what's up. But at that moment, Gerald is like apologetic to Holla because Gerald didn't jump out the window. Let's be clear. Gerald got $20,000 of money that he's not even looking for a return on. It's his own money out of his own pocket that he's ready to put up because he just wants to see a dope battle happen. That's why he was one of Battle Rap's angels, right? Verb, you deleted him, but he was one of Battle Rap's angels. He's going $20,000 of his own money to get the ball rolling for the mega match that everybody wants to see. And he looks up and he sees Holla saying, I'm not talking to URL. So yeah, if you're Gerald, you're going to scratch your fucking head. He did the right thing. He called his friend, Aye Verb, got what he got from Verb. Then he called me, somebody that he could trust with a second opinion that also knows Holla and that'll help proxy some of this shit. Right? And by the end of that, Gerald got a chance to speak to Holla directly in the moment and also directly to Beasley in the moment, who also confirmed to Gerald, no, that's all internet shit. We here. And now Gerald is like, oh, damn, my bad. Okay, cool, Holla. Because Holla's over here shaking with his hands like, oh, shit, they think I'm trying to steal $20,000 from Gerald. Now that Gerald is on the same page with Beasley and Holla, and now he's being told, like, no, that's just promotion in spaces, right? No, we all here. We good. Don't worry about it, right? That's when Holla now is like, okay, as far as my reputation, that's done. But damn, Aye Verb, again, you did that to me. This is the second time. He tells Gerald, he said, yo, call Verb on the phone. Gerald didn't want to call Verb. He was just like, nah, I don't want to get in the middle of that now because I know what just happened. Verb just lied to me. Or he didn't lie to him. From his perspective, he just threw him under the bus. He threw him under the bus with lies, but like, nah, I don't want to be in the middle of you two guys going to war on his phone right now. And Holla just he wanted to tell Verb straight up, I don't fuck with you anymore. That's the last straw. Stay away from me. Right. There was another piece that I forgot to mention too. After Verb gave his advice to Gerald, he did a space. It's still on the internet. He did a space saying, I just want to let everybody know I control the money now. Everything's coming through me. Kind of saying like, if I don't want a battle to happen with Gerald and he's funding it, I'm the gatekeeper. And we asked Gerald on the phone, was that space by Aye Verb about Holla? And Gerald was like, yeah, that's why Aye Verb did that space. Talk about attempting to block a man's blessings. You know, and Gerald actually confirmed this in the space when I joined the space with him and Hitman. You know, so Verb tries to gloss over it. He's just that type of man. He's a compulsive liar, and he did it multiple times now. And you know, it's like a fool me once, you know, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me type of shit. And Holla had to make a decision. Like, I'm tired of trying to do this St. Louis shit with this nigga, and us still trying to be around each other, support each other, stand behind each other at battles, or invite each other to our mixtape release parties. Man, fuck it. Because when this nigga has an opportunity behind my back, he's gonna burn me to a league owner. He's gonna burn me to a sponsor. He's got some type of issue when it's time for me to get cut a check. So fuck this nigga. Because what if Gerald didn't call ARP? What if Gerald just listened to Verb and says, you want to know what? Now when I get back on the phone with Holla, I'm just going to curve him and say, oh, I spoke to my wife and she said, I can't spend that 20 grand right now. What if ARP never got called? I would have never knew that Verb did that. I would have never knew why the battle didn't happen. That 20 grand would. And that's why later on, Gerald even came back after saying, nah, game back on, you know, let me know I'm here. My 20s ready to go, because Gerald was almost making up for. Gerald was never wrong in the situation, but he kind of felt bad that all of this happened based on him, like having the assumption like, yo, what just happened in that space where Hitman saying the battle's not happening, you know? But he did the right thing. He made behind the scenes phone calls. It's just unfortunate that one of the calls he made was to Hitman's hater, Aye Verb. That was the only mistake. And you can't even blame Gerald for that mistake. He was calling his friend, you know? So very, very unfortunate that in the midst of all that, you lose a Gerald McCoy who says, I'm deleting battle rap from my life. You know, Gerald McCoy, when I gave him that plaque at Max Out 3, who did he sponsor on Max Out 3? He sponsored 3 people on Max Out 3. Okay. Like with Verb, the narrative that even A-Ward was wrong with this. He was like, Gerald paid for him to battle A-Ward at Max Out 3. That's not true. Like, I paid. Like, Aye Verb is running around with his 30 ball. That's me. Right? That's I paid. Actually, I tweeted that and Aye Verb co-signed it. That tweet is out there. I have it. It's on my drive. Right. And he's doing all his 30 ball. You missed the caffeine. I wonder how many times Aye Verb has made 30 and 30 plus. URL, find a way to get that information to me. You know, I don't want to know the numbers, just URL. Find a way to get me, because he's bragging about the caffeine era so much. Find a way to get me information if Aye Verb has made, let's say, 30 grand plus, let's say 5 times from URL. Or if it's once with, like, let's say maybe Loaded Lux, right? Or if it's never, it better be 10 times plus the way you talking. URL, I think you should try to get me that type of information. me URL don't talk, but I think they should try to get me that information. You want to know why, URL? You want to know why you should get me that information? It'll help control the market, because you got people like Aye Verb out here that talk so heavy, and that inflates the pricing and the perception that some of the battlers have, and even some of the fans and the bloggers have. And that stuff like that constitutes and inflates the market to places that it shouldn't be. Right? URL, you should get me that information. I'm dead serious. But anyway, yeah, so you lose a Gerald, man. And that's another thing. He's cock buffing URL now that he's at odds with me. Last year was reversed, but now he's cock buffing them, right? And it's like, you paid me second. You're the second league, or there's Urban League, whatever. Boom, boom. All of that is totally cool with me, right? But Gerald is a guy that was going to make the Hitman and Murder Mook battle happen. And he was getting the ball rolling, not URL on their own. That's a fact. It wasn't URL saying, Holla, you need $20,000 to lock in here. It wasn't. It's Gerald McCoy that's doing that. And then even after Gerald McCoy and that all this doesn't happen, the battle was still there for anybody to do. It was still there for Chrome 23 to do. It was still there for Bags and Bodies to try to get done. We saw what happened with that. It was still there for URL to do, King of the Dot, Bull, anybody. We had to wait a year later. And then TBL came and said, how can I try to make this work? And they got it done. So stop cock buffing URL, right? And it's not because they didn't want to make it happen. They was trying to, URL might have spent at least 3 to 4 weeks working on that battle, speaking to people. And I'm not trying to throw out their interworkings and all that type of shit. I ain't on that. But I just know. I know, right? Like they spent weeks trying to make that battle happen. All right. So URL has their own financial decisions and ways about trying to, that's been URL in front of our faces for almost their whole career, whether it's Al Capone Cigarellos or Exclusive Vodka, or let's say Harry, or let's say Caffeine, right? It is great business practice to spend somebody else's money, right? But after Caffeine left and you don't see a Harry or you don't see an Al Capone Cigarellos or there's no Exclusive Vodka, right? You look at what's being promoted. Is there any entities around them that we know of right now? The answer is no. So now for this segment of URL, they have, in my opinion, retracted financially, because even if they are sitting on millions of dollars in their savings accounts, they've never been big on spending their own money. So it doesn't mean that they don't want to get Holla the money to do the battle. But if Caffeine was there or Al Capone or whatever during that whole stint, or Harry, these are the times when you see URL with some of these bigger investments, right? They've never, in front of our faces, what we see, they've never been a company that went into their own pocket, but they don't have these sponsors with them right now. So now you see a bunch of app-only events, or, you know, a gnome that people say, like, we wanted bigger battles or whatever, because they're like, nah, we always like spending other people's money. That's not the reason. So that's, to me, the reason why, you know, they didn't do Hitman and Mook, because they know it's got a big price tag and they will make the return on it. You could, if RBE could make a return on a Hitman booking, the bigger league should be able to as well, right? Hitman's not charging URL triple what he charges me. I know the numbers actually of what he was willing to charge Chrome and URL. It's all the same ball field is what he charges me. It's all the same. It's all the same, right? So I'll say allegedly, I believe it was even URL's idea to bring Gerald in to help. I think they're the ones that had that initial idea, like, yo, let's try to get Gerald in to help. It's just of what URL typically practices, bringing sponsors in to make the situation. And that's a good business practice. Let me sit on my own money and spend y'all's, right? So, he's dumb. That guy. You know what let me down in this whole scenario, Verb, is seeing your level of intelligence based on the things you say. Like, you really are dumb. You really, really are dumb. You really are. All right. Shout out to Gerald McCoy, man. As you can see, Battle Rap misses you. I know one person that definitely misses you. Should I do this? You know what? I'm gonna close out like this. I just gotta pay some homage to my favorite player of all time. This is gonna be the last joint, and then I'm gonna go into my outro. Like I told you, I couldn't do no 2-3 hours today. I gotta make up for yesterday. I really do. AI, man. This is a dope top 10 of him.
Now with it for Denver. Got fouled and won. Wow.
Allen Iverson was getting ready to pass the ball, and Anthony Carter in the corner wide open. Heard the whistle and immediately got the ball up.
Iverson now with it for Denver. Got outstretched fingertips.
Come here.
Oh, my. Take that.
Is that Deadlift Shrimp?
Nobody boxing up.
He did that on Deadlift Shrimp, right? Is that Deadlift Shrimp?
Outstretched fingertips.
76ers maintain possession. We're early in the second quarter.
I remember this. Yo, is the Jordan 1 going to be number 1, number 2, or number 3? Start putting it in the chat. Is it going to be number 1, number 2, or number 3? Let's get the guess going. Put that in the chat for me, people.
One
held down to a knee. All right, let me pull this back.
Very tough defense.
Let me pull this back. Come out here. Come here.
Iverson Going one-on-one, accepting the challenge, and as they say, breaks the ankles of Ford and knocks it down.
Now talk about an ankle breaker. Take a look at AI right here. A picture's worth 1,000 words. But Allen Iverson says, sit down. I'm stroking this jumper.
Come here.
Coleman with it out high. The step around. Lifter.
Lefty.
Leaping out of his uniform to jam it home with the left hand.
Corver, the big rebound. Shot clock unplugged. 104, 7 seconds to play.
11.
Iverson against Gill. The crowd on its feet.
2.
Allen for the win. Yes!
Come here. Was it the Pacers that Kobe dropped his 81 on? Was it Jalen? Jalen got a lot of shit that happened to him, right? Was it? I'm trying to draw my memory right
Over the big rebound.
Iverson draws a double team, finds Snow. Snow looks to drive, pulls up in the paint.
Oh, no! Allen Iverson.
Oh, that he did that over Camby?
Wow.
That's that over Camby,
folks.
Yep.
Everybody here at Maple Gardens is just shaking their heads.
3.9 to go. The steal by Iverson. Posting in. He won the game. He won the game. He won the game. Do you love this game?
You got the question, I got the answer. You got the question, I got the answer.
11 rebounds, block, 3
Oh, this is like the double drop, right? 1.
Iverson. Come here. What a fake on Daniels as he broke his ankles and got all the way to the cup.
Not 3.
For 2 of his 40.
Gonna be top 2. Oh, they got it number 2. Number 2. Should the Jordan 1 be number 2 or number 1, chat? So what's number 1? What's number 1? Should the Jordan Cross be number 2 or number 1? I'm a little bothered, people. Y'all better get this right. Hold on.
Iverson has Jordan. The crowd is into it. Allen shakes straight.
Come here.
Well, the crowd loves that. Take a look at the crossover. Mike said no. Allen said yes. The bucket. The crowd loves it.
All right, whatever. That was always dope in the background to hear Phil Jackson call out to Michael to press up. Yeah, Phil in the back. Michael, like, yeah, get up on AI. And then you sent me for this to happen to me. Thanks, Phil. Yo, but regardless of what number 1 is, it's got to be a big situation. But the only reason why I could understand, see, this is iconic because it's MJ, right? Because it's MJ, number 1. Number 2, because it's an early AI. And number 3, he was in this process of bringing this crossover into the league. And is becoming such a deadly move that people were paying attention to, the crossover, right? So I think that's what makes this so iconic. But didn't the Bulls still win this game, right? So iconic moment, but not a season shifter or nothing like that, right? So let's see what number 1 is.
Iverson.
Okay, I understand. So this is one of the posters I got in my gym, the stepping over of Tyronn Lue. And who knew, fast forward, Tyronn Lue would be one of the best coaches in the league. Now, this is look at how that lines up. The reason why this is significant from a season impact standpoint, this is playoffs, right? This is playoffs. This is a playoff win as well. So playoff win versus a regular season loss, big difference, right? But this is a playoff game. And if you remember this time, people, a lot of people will complain, especially out of Philly. Philly, are you with me? Especially out of Philly, that Tyronn Lue was cheating by the way he was hand checking AI. A lot of people were complaining, like, stop hand checking AI. And this was one of those, you hand checking me, everybody's seeing it in the games, and then you hit the step back on them, and then you step on them like, nigga, I'm tired of you. Like, bitch ass nigga, like, take that with you. Like, this is supposed to be, and he's never won a championship. So all his highlights come from, he won an MVP, right? And playoff success, right? So being that this is a playoff game, this does deserve to be over the Jordan crossover. It does. It does. All right.
Bothered by Lewis. Iverson.
Bitch ass nigga. Step over his bitch ass. Come here.
Allen Iverson makes it 103-99. He scored the last 7. Iverson.
It's dope when the players do the intentional step over. Some niggas are swing on. Pat Ewing did that. Somebody stepped over Pat Ewing. I think was it the Pippen dunk? When Pippen threw it on him and then pushed him to the ground, and Pat Ewing, he stepped over. Pat Ewing started punching up at the niggas' nuts and shit. The intentional step over is definitely a form of disrespect. Definitely a form of disrespect, but it's so beautiful when it happens. Ooh, they can say AI have 46 this game. Y'all forget how many he had, but classic moment. All right, let me check my supers real quick before we get up out of here, people. Once again. Shout out to our member when I edited, so we spoke about that. We caught that one. Shout out to you for being a member for 6 months. I got KX in the building, man. Gifting is his thing. All right. So everybody pay attention to our lives, man. Our member KX, he holds all y'all down, including me. So I appreciate you, homie. This was once again Miss Abby. We was talking about the business talk earlier. I'm glad that everybody in the chat enjoyed that topic. So shout out to y'all. Appreciate y'all. What was this one? Shout out to chat once again. We definitely appreciate your expertise and professionalism. Thank you once again. Appreciate that. I think we caught that one earlier. What's this one? Gifted 5 RBE memberships. Shout out to God the brand. Throwing 5 of them things out there. Not 1, not 2, not 3 of them things, but 5 of them things out there, man. That's so dope. That's so dope. Last time I did a members dedicated stream where it was a ask ARP questions, right? We did that for like an hour or 2. And I was willing to bring members up on a stream, but some of y'all be getting scared. Some of y'all be getting cold feet. So shout out to the members. But if we do another one of those coming up, don't get cold feet. Like, yeah, I talk all my shit in the chat, but get on a stream with this nigga. I don't know. I ain't gonna attack y'all. Y'all be good. Everything's okay. Maybe I'll put another one of those on the schedule in upcoming weeks or something. But yeah, shout out to God the brand, gifting 5 of them things on the channel. So all right. That takes us out of here. Happy Sunday, everybody. 10:30. I gotta get running. I got makeup shit to do from yesterday. Enjoy the rest of y'all weekend, man. Stay productive, stay positive, and continue to drop me y'all feedback in the comments. Let me know what's going on with some of these topics and some of these streams, y'all. All right. I will be back ASAP. Actually, in the morning, we back.
Don't confuse silence with work ethic. I'm a boss making decisions, my first fetish. The verse cherished is perfect, that's a reverse blemish. I dropped it, connected the block, learn Tetris.
This is the Sorry Street Podcast. Welcome to the house of. And shout out to the members.
Without, I think still got a gun.